Hey, this is Ryan Levesque here, and I'm really excited for this interview here today. And the reason for that is because I have a very special guest, and she's someone who has used quiz funnels in a very innovative way. So she's someone who first started doing quiz funnels for clients, but not the type of clients that you might expect. She's used quiz funnels as a way to affect social change. And she's done it in some very interesting places that I'm excited for her to talk about. But then she's taken it a step further. And she's not only used quiz funnels for clients, but she's also built her own quiz funnel as a way of generating clients and leads in her own business. So she's taken this knowledge that she's developed and acquired and applied it to her own business in a really cool and innovative way. So we're going to talk about her story. We're going to maybe take a look inside one of the quizzes that she's built, talk about some of the results, lessons learned along the way, and have some fun while we're doing it as well. So with that being said, I'm really excited to introduce our special guest of the day, Adriana Dakin. How are you doing? Adriana, what's going on?
I'm doing really well, thank you. And this is so much fun and such an honor to be here with you.
Yeah, it's always great to chat with you. You are always up to some really cool things. You are a woman who gets things done. I love that about you. You are such an inspiration, and I'm excited to dive right in. So before we talk about your quizzes, though, I'd love if you could maybe set the stage and talk a little bit about your business. Who do you serve? What do you sell? And maybe we could talk a little bit about that different type of client that I alluded to in the introduction that may not be what everyone is used to, working with or hearing about.
Yeah, so I co-lead a digital marketing company, ImaginePod, that helps social purpose organizations build and grow their marketing funnels. And I've been in this arena for a long time, but working with the Ask method has helped us change to really focus and really have a full flow from top to bottom with our marketing funnels that we create for our clients and for ourselves. So we have, we run live virtual training events. So we have a weekly free training webinar. And then we have a Build Your Impact program. It's a 7-week foundational course, and we created a Skittle, a Screw It, Do It Live course with cohorts every couple of months, and then a boot camp to cap it off. So you learn how to do this thing, a marketing funnel, and then you get it done together with others. And our first boot camp is actually in 2 days. So cramming in this interview while preparing all the things. And then after people do the boot camp, we would love to have them join our coaching program, and we've just started that and have our first couple of people joining.
It's super exciting. And then, so you've put all the pieces together. Go ahead. Yeah.
We're continuing with the consulting services that we do. So we take a couple of work with a couple of clients to do it for them. So running their ad campaigns, creating their strategy, creating their quiz funnels, optimizing it as we go, and we have about 3 right now.
Super exciting. So I love what you've done where you've taken the skill that you've developed by learning this model, first doing it for other people, which is one of the best ways to both learn and earn at the same time. So you're learning this process, and then you can earn some good revenue along the way. And then now you've taken that and you've used it to kind of build, this more leverageable, more scalable business that gets you out of doing entirely one-on-one done-for-you services, and now allows you to do more scalable, more leveraged, done-with-you work, which is going to help you get to that next level, which is really, really, really cool.
Exactly. We want to be able to focus on that scalable work, but we're in that transition moment right now.
Right, which is really cool because I think a lot of people can relate to that, where maybe you are in this business. It doesn't matter if you do marketing for other people, or if you are a consultant or a coach or a health practitioner, or you do any type of one-on-one work. There reaches this point where you realize you hit the ceiling, that the only way to make more money is to work more hours, but there's no more hours in the day. And so you're like, where do I go? And that takes you to this transition where you're able to take that skill and knowledge you've acquired and then do a more scalable, leveraged way of delivering your services. So I love that. Now, before we talk about kind of life before the quiz funnel in your business and some clients, I'd love to kind of talk a little bit more about examples of the type of clients that you've worked with, because I think it'll be really inspiring for people who are maybe in a nonprofit, maybe in a social change organization. They're not that typical, make money to make money type of business, but they're an institution or an organization who's thinking, how might I use a quiz funnel for me? So maybe you could just give a few examples of the types of clients that you've worked with and the way in which you've used quizzes to help forward their causes.
Yeah, right. And many nonprofits and foundations do have money, but the priority is the cause. So it's great when you can combine working for something you believe in while earning money. That's like an optimal thing to be able to do. So I'm really grateful for that. And I wanted to say highlight a couple of those that we're working on right now. They're amazing. One called Ability Path. The campaign is that we're working with them on. We've been running a 6-month campaign together with our partners at Underground Agency in San Francisco. So they include people with disabilities in workplaces and communities. It's a Silicon Valley organization. So we have an awareness building ad campaign, but now we've also created an ad campaign, a funnel, a quiz funnel for them, because we've seen that we don't get great enough results from just asking people to sign up for an email list. That doesn't really cut it. You got to give before you get. So we are really excited. I think it'll launch actually today or tomorrow, their quiz. And we have a great $5,000 budget to get it going and build their email list. So by the time they get around to the next donor campaign in the fall, they'll have a much bigger email list.
So really, the play there is building an audience, building an email list of people through this quiz funnel that as a nonprofit, I can go back to that list of people, and when it comes to our next, like you said, donor campaign where I'm looking to raise money, I can reach back out to them. And I imagine I can do it much more effectively because I know more than just a person's name and email address. Like I know the answers to the questions that we've asked. So maybe I have some insight into what elements of the cause are most important to them, or specific sub-initiatives that they are more interested in learning more about. So I can then kind of customize my communication to them to really drive the effectiveness of that donor campaign. Is that
exactly? Yeah. So our quiz has 4 buckets, so people will be able to segment themselves based on their questions into the children's ally, the adult ally. There are different types of people who are interested in different things for helping people with disabilities. And then there's the employment partner and the school ally. So 4 different ones. We wanted to keep it simple enough while providing enough detail. And yes, they'll be able to interact with them in different ways.
It's really, really cool. I love how you've taken this, which is really, I don't explicitly teach doing this, overtly. I've always had this, kind of dream that people would take this quiz funnel technology and this quiz funnel strategy and apply it in all these sort of different innovative ways. And I love how you've taken in that direction. So that's a great example. Maybe one more example of just anyone, past or present client that comes to mind that you'd love to maybe talk about their quiz.
Well, I found you because of a really great organization based in New York called Equal Justice USA, and they had a project, Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty. As you may know, there are innocent people being put to death by mistake because of wrongful evidence. So we created a campaign that was, we mapped out a strategy to roll out our campaigns, our test campaigns in Wyoming and Ohio. But I didn't want to just do your typical petition or pledge. So I was looking around for a more innovative way to build leads and do it more cheaply than $3 per lead or $4 per lead like you can do with petitions. And so I came across the Choose, Ask, Build challenge through one of your affiliates, and I joined it, and I thought this could be perfect. And then I joined your masterclass. And you may remember me asking questions about how to use this for the death penalty, and you had some good advice, including around getting donations. And so for that campaign, it was specifically to get people signing to pressure legislators to end the death penalty in 2 states. But I had a goal of bringing on other clients to use it for donation campaigns. So there you have it. You did mention that in the masterclass, and now you have some results coming in.
That's really, really cool. I love what you've done with this, and it's a great way to disrupt some of these, places and causes and sort of, ideas and areas that maybe haven't been very innovative in the way that we're getting people's attention, where, like you said, using petitions. It's been done a million times. It'll continue to be used. But disrupting some of these spaces with something new and different, like a quiz funnel, can often cut through the noise and get through in a way that you're unable to do with more traditional strategies. So that's super exciting. So, these are just 2 clients. You've worked with many more clients over the years and more clients recently. But just when you all said and done, what kind of volume are we looking at? When we add up all the quizzes that you've done for your clients and yours, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, what's the sense of scale? Are we, hundreds of people? How many people have gone through these quizzes?
Yeah, so for Equal Justice USA, all told, through our several different iterations as we made improvements to increase our, to reach better benchmarks with conversions, we brought them in 4,000 leads, and they had a goal of doubling their project list from 1,200 to 2,400 in 6 months. They thought it would take a long time, and we tripled it in 3 weeks. Well, doubled it in 2 weeks, tripled it in 5 weeks. Practically quadrupled it by the end, and it just could have kept on. If they wanted to just put in more money, it would have just really massively grown more. But it was a pilot campaign, and maybe we'll do more with them later. So that was 4,000. And then for Manhattan Neighborhood Network, that's doing a pivot from a Manhattan-based audience to national, we have a quiz that's running for them constantly right now, and I think they're around 1,500 leads, and we've had like 3 different optimizations. And they're in a rebranding process, so they're just, slowly growing their list. But I think once they're done rebranding, they'll want to really grow more massively, and it'll be already set up to do so. And so we get the best results in our ad campaigns from people who are on their email lists, who've been cultivated, like when we're remarketing or when we create lookalikes. So if we say we have their email list and we create a lookalike, it finds more of these people. Like for Manhattan Neighborhood Network, it's more content creators and more media makers across the entire country. Right. And then we get a great cost per acquisition that way and find them the people who want to take their classes and get trained. Yeah.
What's cool about that, and this is true if anyone's watching this right now and you're thinking, how does this apply to me? Like, I'm not in a nonprofit, I'm not in, in a social cause, like, can I use this? The answer is absolutely yes. And there's 2 things that I want to invite you to take away from what Adriana just mentioned there. So number 1, if you have any sort of audience right now, so it can be, an email list, it could be, your list of contacts, it could be a list of names that you've collected over the years from events that you've presented at, just any sort of starting point. When you start with a list like that and you upload that list to Facebook as a lookalike audience and run your quiz to that traffic, that's a great way to kind of like hit the ground running. Instead of starting at like a dead stop, a standstill, you'll get more momentum by doing that. So that's number 1. Number 2, a great opportunity is, if you have any sort of list or audience or database, is to run that quiz to that group of people, because you'll re-engage past donors who maybe have been inactive for a long time, people who have never engaged, past clients of yours who maybe bought from you years ago and all of a sudden are saying, hey, what have you been up to? Oh, this is really cool what you're up to. Hey, do you have any new products or services that I could sign up for? You'll be able to re-engage people in a way. So for many people, even if you have a relatively small audience, this is the lowest hanging fruit and the fastest path to cash opportunity that you can, get some quick wins on the board right away. So, thousands of people have gone through these quizzes. You've learned a lot in the process, and then recently you said, all right, I think we're going to take our hand and actually do one of these quizzes for our business, you speaking, of course, to generate leads and customers for your company. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think it was, I did the quiz funnel bootcamp last October, and then we had the help of the team at Bucket to create it. Thought that would be a great thing, even though we knew how to do it and I love to do it. I'm like, free opportunity, great. So then we started running it in December, maybe. We didn't love the results, so we reworked it in January, reworked it again in February. We were starting to meet some great people through our ads, from people who love quizzes and were coming through ours. So we had just started our weekly webinars and we're meeting people that way. And now we're on version 4. And it's like it's a constant process of learning how our audience speaks. But I mean, by doing the Skittle, it was a great way to hear people, how they think about these topics, and then be able to write in that way. It was pretty transformative doing the Skittle process, and so that has helped shape our quiz, and we keep changing it in different ways. We look at the metrics and see where there are drop-offs, or And you know, sometimes a drop off can be good. You don't want everyone to sign up who's not the right fit for your program, and then you are paying for too many emails on your list. So It's not like we want to capture everyone. We want to capture the right people, and we have started to do that.
And what's really cool is, you know, with the quiz that you're building like this, you don't have to get, it's not like one of these strategies where you have to get it absolutely perfect. You got one shot. Like, that's it, one shot, and if you don't get it perfect out of the gate, you're dead in the water. With a quiz like this, what's beautiful is you can start launching it, you can see the results, and then you can say, you know what, I'm going to tweak this little thing. And then you relaunch it again with a little change or a few tweaks to it, and then you can see how it performs. And then from there, you can see, all right, what changes do we need to make next, and just keep improving it along the way. So, you know, I resonate with that a lot because I'm the type of person that, you know, would rather have an opportunity to just, you know, improve and improve and improve, as opposed to, all right, you got one shot, don't screw it up because you're done.
It would be impossible to do it well in one shot, I think, because you have to learn how people react in the real world.
Exactly. And so that's what I love about this strategy. I love about the approach that you've taken. So what I want to do now is I'm going to pull this up on my screen. If you bear with me 1 second, I'm going to pull up. So first things first, these are just some numbers, and I think this is cumulative numbers over across all the, you know, various funnels and quizzes that you've put together in a relatively short amount of time for your clients and yourself, and so you get a sense of scale. And then the quiz that we're looking at here is maybe something you could talk through us now. So tell us a little bit about this quiz, what we're looking at, and you know, the context behind it.
Yeah, and by the way, I love seeing those metrics because that was from about 10 days ago, when we have hundreds more, a couple hundred more by now. So it's fun seeing that kind of growth. Yeah, I'll walk you through the quiz. So in our first iteration, we had people coming to the landing page, but then we didn't want to have the drop off there. So we started testing out, you know, people not clicking start quiz. So we just landed people on the first quiz. And we're making this a binary, easy, grease the wheels kind of question. Are you already working on a social purpose project? Like, yes, I am, or my plans are still in progress. And if you're not going to, then you don't really have to take our quiz anyway.
Right.
So what best describes how you coordinate with others? So we love working with teams and organizations, but some people work alone, so we kind of capture the span of things. And this is our first mapping question. So I'm pretty much doing this alone. That maps to our bucket called the Innovative Pioneer, and I'm a member of a team is the Skill Builder. I lead an organization. The third one, that's the Visionary Leader. And I have a following and influence online, that's the Network Influencer. And I have influence online, that's our fifth bucket, the Thought Leader.
Now, let me ask you this, Adriana. Are you ultimately driving everybody to the same next step offer, irrespective of their bucket, or are you sending people to different things based on how they answer this question?
Right, to the same. So it's not pure customization based on all the different products that we have. We want everyone to come to our webinar, but there are different reasons to do so. And these are all the different types of people we love to help. But we want them to come to our training, our free training webinar, and sign up for our course on growth marketing with a mission.
Yeah.
And then
I love that. I love that so much. And I think it's such an important point to underscore, because you might be asking yourself, if you're watching this right now, how does it apply to me if I only have like one thing to sell, or I only have really one service that I offer? Well, the question to ask yourself is, do you help people who are in slightly different situations? And the answer for 99.9% of us is, the answer is yes, right? So in your case, Adriana, you work with people who are like on their own, all the way to people who lead an organization, and they can ultimately benefit from the one thing that you want people to do next, which is watch your webinar and sign up for your program. But the way you position that thing, you might talk about it in a different way. If you're speaking to someone who's doing it on their own, you might talk about, hey, listen, you know, it's really challenging when you're doing this all on your own and you're wearing a bunch of hats and yada, 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 to relate to that person and demonstrate that you understand their situation, versus the person who's leading an organization. You're going to speak to different challenges. You might say, it's really frustrating when you've got a team of people and getting everybody on the same page and rowing in the same direction and all of the conflict that can happen within teams. However, this is what we help people with, and I'd love to invite you to our training. So you can have one thing that can serve those groups of people, or those buckets, but you might speak about it in a different way. So I just wanted to underscore that point for anyone watching this right now, because I think it's an important lesson to take away, and I love how you're doing that with this question. So I'm going to click on this here.
Like I have a public policy degree from Harvard, and right now I'm getting to work with a fellow graduate from the program, and he's running for a city attorney of LA, and we're working on how to build his list so that he can help fight wage theft in LA. So it's really fun to be able to work with a range of people.
I love it. I love it. So we ask people what's most exciting, what gets them most excited, which is really, really cool. I'll just put nerding out on research because that's kind of my thing. What's your biggest challenge? This is really cool. Talk to us a little bit about how this, knowing this piece of information is helpful for you.
Yeah, so we thought through, we have specific people that kind of map to our buckets. Like Tiffany from one client organization is like the visionary leader. So we thought about her characteristics and traits when we're creating these questions, and what are all the different traits of each of the people in the 5 buckets. So for somebody who's a visionary leader, perhaps their goals feel too ambitious to others. So we've talked with a lot of people, worked with a lot of organizations, and feel like this probably maps pretty well to challenges that they're experiencing. But we did put other on there because we didn't want this to stump people. Like if they didn't have one of these, if none of these related to them, I just wanted other, so that if you click that, then you can state something else. Cool. Because then this also gives us some research on maybe we're missing something that's more of a challenge, and then we'll look at the results. So we have 3 different questions that map to the buckets, but we have like 8 questions overall. 3 of them are mapping. So we just want, if 2 of the others, we didn't want to make this something that would lose people.
And I think that's great. It's something over time that I'd love for you to get to a place where we're not asking this question, because it can slow people down, right? The fact that people are going to type things down. But when you're launching something new and you're not quite sure that you've got it, like, I don't know if these are all the buckets, like I really want to make sure that we've nailed it. This is a great kind of safety valve. It's a great way for you to throw a question in there that's, really designed to make sure, are people answering this question as we expect? Is there maybe one bucket that like nobody is checking off, in which case maybe we drop it, and maybe there's something else that we didn't really think about or we didn't consider. Maybe that's a candidate to add as an option. So I think it's great.
Yep. And we only added other in this version 4 of the quiz last week, so we'll see how it does. And then version 5, I already have ideas for that.
Beautiful. Okay. I love it. Yeah.
When you're frustrated, what's your biggest obstacle? Yep. Lack of confidence in myself, etc. So this is more of a demographic question. It doesn't map to buckets. It's just for our information to collect.
Right. And it's good for you because it helps you, you could think of a case study, for example. Like one way I could imagine you might use this in your business, someone who struggled with money to invest in their social purpose, you might have a specific case study that you show only to people who check off this button right here. Versus someone who is struggling with lack of time, you might show a different case study or a different example or tell a different story to really resonate with them. So that's a way in which we might use that. Similar here, right? When it comes to increasing impact, what's most important, you can highlight stories of your clients and customers who have, worked with you and who, as a result, were able to measure the effectiveness of their work and see a result there. So I like this question a lot for all those reasons. And then this is great, right? So what do they think they most need help with? And this kind of gives you some ideas on, again, I imagine is this another question that helps map to the bucket on where they land?
Yeah, so building motivation and, for what they can expect from us.
And that's great because you're asking the question in a few different ways. So that way you're not limited to just the answer to one question defining and determining their fate. Where if they, say, answer A on question 3, that's it, we're putting them in bucket A. You can ask a few questions and you can use correlation to map people, what we call outcome mapping, to map people to the right outcome for them. So it gives you a little bit more fine-tuned control, and it gives you ways to ask the question from a few different angles to really to get at it. So we got this right here, TVL. I put my name. We're going to give the free results report, which is cool. And then if I click on this continue button, what happens next?
Yeah, look at this. You're the visionary leader. How accurate. This is our opt-in page, our lead capture page, and we're giving people just a little teaser, TBL. We hope that they want to know what that means and click the continue button after putting in their email address. And then you get to our outcome page that focuses on the video of my colleague, Abigail. She and I have worked together more than 7 years, so we know each other well, and it's like the partnership made in heaven. And she has done an Ask Masterclass, so she, even though she had just had a baby last spring, she was like, yeah, I want to do this with you. Let's build our company and follow this method.
That's so awesome. I love that. And I love the divide and conquer approach. So we watch this video. We're obviously delivering some value. So we're establishing some great rapport, and people are getting, they're learning about the results, what it means. They're getting to meet you and, your company and your business partner for the first time ever. So building a little bit of rapport and relationship. And then after they click this continue button, what's happening next? We're asking and inviting them to do what? I believe.
Yeah, we built a landing page for our webinar, a webinar registration page also on the Bucket platform. So this is the next step. It's our free training webinar on 3 ways to propel your purpose. And we've been gathering testimonials, so we include a couple here. And we let people know that everyone wins prizes when they come, because we know it takes time out of their day to be there. And these sessions have been amazing. We have small group training sessions, and we have like a nurture series leading up to it, so people know what to expect and that each person is important there, because we run them on Zoom meeting instead of Zoom webinar. So we talk with people at it and hear their specific situation and tailor our training to them.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing. And when I click this button right here, what's really cool is then I can kind of tell you a little bit more information about myself, and then register for the webinar, which is great. And I love the fact that you're just naturally segueing people from the quiz to that natural next step, which is, hey, let's get on this small group training together. And you're just taking people along the way through a series of micro commitment baby steps. Whereas if you had just tried to drive people straight to this page that we're on right now, what are most people going to do? You're going to say, who are you? Like, I'm not ready to sign up for this. Like, I'm going to bail out of this. But because you've eased people along the way, you've asked them a series of questions, you've delivered some value, you've explained the results and what that means, you've given them the video, you've given them the report, they've gotten to know you a little bit in the process. You're able to take someone who is completely cold, doesn't know who you are, to the place where they're willing to hop on one of these trainings with you, have a conversation, get to know you, and then ultimately become a customer or client. So I love what you're doing with this. I think it's a great example of the quiz in action, and really excited for where you take this and the results.
Thank you.
Cool.
And we did keep our opt-in page for the quiz really simple, just an email address, because if you add in one more, it can decrease your opt-in rate by like 10 points. And we tested that out, and we tested running ads straight to our webinar landing page and to our quiz. And it's a much higher CPA for getting registrations on the webinar. And so, yeah, it's been super fun just testing it out and seeing that actually, yes, your suggestions work really well.
It's always good, right? To know, like, all right, it's one thing to hear it and one thing to see other people get those results. But like when you actually get those results yourself, it's like, oh, it's validation. Good. So, the quiz does make a lot of sense to put in front of the webinar. Well, listen, yeah. I know we're a little bit over on time, and I want to be respectful of your time. And I want to just ask one final question before we wrap, if that's okay. And it's really just, for someone who's watching this right now, someone who is, they're listening to this interview, they've heard the results that you've gotten for your clients, they're really excited about that. They're hearing the results that you're getting, for yourself and then your own quiz, and, the kind of the numbers that you're getting there, which is exciting. And yet, they're on the fence. They're like, quiz, it sounds like a lot of work. Is it worth doing? Should I invest in this? Should I invest the time to go through this training? Should I invest the money to go through this training? For someone who's watching this right now, who's maybe in a situation that you were in, maybe when you were a little bit skeptical yourself, not that long ago, what would you say to that person who's watching this right now who's on the fence?
Yeah, well, I think if you want to have more fun and purpose in your life, it's a good no-brainer. If you want to know more information about your audience and be able to build a relationship more effectively, then it's great to have segmented data. And if you don't want to get stopped by the iOS changes, then you want to be building your own email list and not having to rely on Facebook ad targeting, where privacy and data is always changing. And if you want to really build the one asset that you own, your email or SMS list, it's a good idea to do it. So I think there's no reason not to, given everything that's happening. Email hasn't died, and you can multi-purpose it in so many ways, like with remarketing, to reach your audience in multiple ways, because people aren't really going to take action just seeing something once in one place. You need to catch them in all the places. So still want to do things in person too when we can, but it's a way to do things in a multi-purpose kind of way and to have more fun. And I've really gotten a lot out of it, and it's really changed our business for good. And being a busy mompreneur or a busy whatever you are, it's good to have things automated and growing while we're sleeping. And I love it when I wake up and I see a sale the first thing before I go for a run or see the sunrise. Like while I was sleeping, something happened that I didn't have to trade an hour for, even though, it takes a lot of work to put this together, and we're really making it happen. But I'm in an international run coaching group, and he says to put every effort in so that you have no regrets. And so it's like we're creating our house, creating our foundation, putting a lot in so that it can just keep on growing while we're sleeping.
Hear, hear. I agree with everything that you've said. It's work well worth doing, and it's work that will pay dividends for years and years and years into the future. And there is nothing more rewarding than going to bed at night, waking up the next morning, loading up your shopping cart, hitting the go live button saying, oh my gosh, like someone bought last night, or 10 people bought last night, and having that quiz that continues to produce leads and webinar registrations and customers day in and day out is pretty cool. So Adriana, I just want to say thanks so much for taking time to be here, sharing a little bit about your story, taking us behind the scenes of one of your quizzes, and just showing us what's possible when you put all these things together. So thanks so much for your time and for being here.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to running my boot camp in 2 days and telling you about that.
Yes! I'm so excited. Awesome. Well, with that being said, once again, this is Ryan Levesque, and we've been here with Adriana Dakin, who's taken us through a little bit of what she's done in her business, both for clients, building quizzes for social causes, which has been pretty exciting, taking what she's learned from that process, building her own quiz to generate leads and customers and clients for her own business, and in the process, being able to pivot to go from doing one-on-one client work in a done-for-you type fashion to now more of a leveraged model where she is working with a larger number of businesses, larger number of organizations, and not trading time for money, but being able to do it in a much more leveraged, much more scalable way. And as she mentioned, having the fulfillment of going to bed at night, waking up the next morning, and logging in to find that sales have happened overnight, it doesn't get much better than that. So I hope this has inspired you to show you what's possible. And if you are interested or even just curious, my invitation to you is to join us at the free quiz funnel workshop, which is something that I do once a year. It's a super special thing. And based on the time that you're watching this right now, your timing is perfect because it's happening right now. And all you need to do to join us is go to the link quizfunnelworkshop.com, where we're going to go through the process of how to create one of these quiz funnels step by step. We're going to talk about the 3 types of quizzes and which one's right for you. We're going to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes that people make in creating a quiz and how to avoid making those mistakes. We're going to go through over a dozen different case studies in all sorts of different markets. You're going to see examples of quiz funnels in probably markets like yours that you'll be able to get inspiration from, and maybe even some ideas for what your quiz might look like. And we're even going to cover the technology and the process behind how to make it all possible. So the link, once again, is quizfunnelworkshop.com. It's only once a year, so I highly recommend that you don't miss this opportunity. Join us by clicking or typing in the link on the screen, quizfunnelworkshop.com. I look forward to seeing you there live, and I want to wish you a great rest of your day. And I'll say that this wraps things up for today, and I'll see you inside the workshop. Take care and talk soon. Bye.